Welcome to The Sear Show. Join us as we explore medicine, health, mental health, mindset, and fitness, guided by lifelong seeker of knowledge, Sifu Raphael. He will lead us on a transformative journey with groundbreaking insights and extraordinary guests from around the world. Together, we'll dive into the latest holistic approaches to well-being and the profound connections between mind, body, and soul. Sifu Raphael's expertise in positive thinking, resilience, and personal growth will inspire you to reach new heights. Get ready for The Sear Show. It's time to embrace a brighter, healthier, and more empowered future.
5, 4, 0.
Good morning. Thank you
Good
so much for
morning.
joining me on the show today. Stephen, you and I have talked for a long time now. And Dana,
We have.
welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So today I'm excited. I must have been so excited that I've already been up for 4 hours. And it's only 7:30 a.m.
Jeez.
I've worked out. I've done all kinds of things. I've gone places. Super excited for today. Every day I feel that way. So let's talk about,
you.
and I know that you both are very, very well versed in what we're about to talk about, which is positive leadership habits and also destructive thinking. And I think a lot of people usually start with the destructive thinking first before they move forward, right? Who'd like to give us a little tour, if you don't mind?
Well, I'll jump in, Stephen. I'll go for that one because I think my life up to 3 years ago was 40 some years of destructive thinking. And, you know, the reason was I was abused as a child. I was abused for 25 years in a relationship and marriage. And I think the problem was that the people around me were negative, but so, I mean, aside from the abuse, even the narrative around me was always can't, won't, never will. It was all of these negative ideas. And when you are hearing that every single day and it's all you hear, you're never gonna be, you never will be, all these things, really you internalize them, even though you don't want to believe them. And you may not. I know I didn't. I was like, no, it can't be. I'm gonna fight. I will. I'll try. But no matter how much I tried to be positive, I couldn't get to that level where I needed to be and where I wanted to be with all the negativity around me. So I learned now, being out of that for 3 years, and now being more choosy about who the people are that are around me and who I let in, so to speak. You know, I have uplifting words around me, encouragement. And I'm not saying people need to kiss my butt, but it's very different when people say, give it a try. We know you can do it. We believe in you, because then you start to believe that too. I definitely think what you're exposed to affects your own thinking. And when your self-talk is positive, you're definitely going to achieve more than if you're thinking you never will, never can, because your thoughts lead your actions.
Wow, without a doubt. You know, one of the things that you talked about is your thoughts lead your actions. I totally agree 1,000% with that. And coming to the stage, welcome, Jay. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
I'm sorry I'm late. I was having trouble logging in, but thank you.
We're happy you're here. So we're talking about positive leadership habits and destructive thinking. And Dana was just telling us about how for so long you had all this happening, but you found a way out. And I think that's where you led yourself, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's leadership right there, where you have to really find and dig deep sometimes as a leader of your own life. Stephen, and I'm sure you would agree that before we can lead others, we need to lead ourselves, right?
For sure. Absolutely. And I have to say that I'm sorry to hear, Dana, that you had to go through all of that. I was fortunate as I got started. I started my business journey when I was 20 years old on the management team at UPS. And I learned early on that I guess I've just happened to grab onto this stuff, that I look for nuggets. I don't know that I actually look, but I pick up on nuggets of comments that people have made in my life. And one of those was, I was in the 9th grade football team, and we had a pretty good team. And at the beginning of the season, before the first game, the coach had us all lined up, and he said, "You can't go undefeated unless you win the first game." And I held on to that, and I have ever since, because I looked at it as the value of time, and the fact that an hour today is as important as an hour tomorrow. So, make the best of it. And you can't worry about what happened yesterday. You can only think about what's going on for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I had that one. And my dad gave me one when he was teaching me all the things I needed to know about life. This is what he said. And he said, "Steve, the only one that can be accountable for the night before when you get up in the morning is who you're staring at in the mirror." So it was an accountability statement that, we have to be accountable for who we are and everything that we do. And as a result, we will be okay. And I gave my kids a lesson, particularly the boys. I told them, I said, protect yourself from getting in a situation you have a hard time getting out of. And another one was to make your major decisions in advance, so that when you got your back up against the wall, all you have to do is remember what you've already decided. And I think those are good things. What we're really doing here is establishing habits. And as I got started in the leadership world, I also picked up on what everybody else was telling me, because again, I was 20 years old and I hadn't been to a management school or anything. I just happened to be fortunate. And I was thankful for that. So when I got started, I decided that I was going to treat people the way I'd like to be treated. And I came to that. I decided that because when I got started, the people that reported to me were older than I was. And, that's okay in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, but 22-year-olds don't like 20-year-olds telling them what, basically. So I figured, well, if I treat them the way I'd like to be treated, I think we can make this work. And it worked on day one, and it's worked every day since. So the golden rule is a good place to stand.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And, you can, over time, you will add to I like to describe it this way, that in the world of leadership, there's no such thing as 10 steps to being a good leader. It doesn't exist. It's more a gathering of skills as you are on the journey. And as you gather skills, you can put those skills into your golf bag of skills. Because as you walk the journey of life, you never know what's going to come around the next corner, but your ability to react to it comes with experience. Yes. Mm-hmm. So you can go to school and learn things about leadership, but there's nothing that replaces experience and, drawing on your past and going forward. So
being in the front line, sometimes it's part of the process of this. Jay, I'd love to have your take on what we're talking about. I know you came in a little late, but I think you gathered some of the information that we are talking about. So I'd love to get your insights.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've heard football analogies and all this. I mean, I'm a football guy. I mean, I believe, I think it was Bill Walsh that I subscribe, and there's all kinds of things written on my walls here in my home office, is like, the score will take care of itself. Bill Walsh always says that. I mean, it's about the preparation, the plans, the, making sure you're prepared for everything, and all that. He always said the score would take care of itself. And I believe that. And, I heard, Stephen talk about habits and so forth. I mean, I'm I'm big on the mind frame and the habits and the thought changing and so forth like that. And so one thing that I always say to people is, you were born an original, don't die a copy. And so I think with leadership, the times I've gotten into trouble with my staff or sitting in a group or trying to be a leader, quote unquote, is when I'm trying to lead like others, people, like, you know, some other leaders in my life, and I try to gather some things that they did well, and here, you know, and what I've learned is I'm as good as leader as I can possibly be if I show up as myself and listen to other people. And, you know, most people just want to be, you know, heard and seen. And if I remember the golden rule that, you know, everyone kind of brings in their own experience and their own view on things. And so you know, I've had some leaders that kind of, I would sit at the big boy table and not say a word, and no one looked me in the eye or anything like that. And, you know, I was a young 20-something in the advertising world, and, you know, Steve and I could relate to not necessarily being a manager, but, you know, being at the big boy table when people have said, like, you know, you could just hear it. I know what they're saying. Like, why is this kid here? Go get me coffee or something. Reality was, I was sitting at the big boy table. I deserved it. And, you know, I was scared crapless, and they're thinking it, and I'm hearing it, and I'm taking that and just throwing me off my game. And thank God I had mentors in my life that said, you know, just, you know, you got to that, you know, you've gotten this point, you know, not by accident, that you've gotten here. Like this moment that we're standing here, everything that's led up to this point has gone the exact way it's supposed to be, and moving forward. And, you know, so be proud, go into a crowded room and be content and at peace and excited for the person you are. And, you know, so I think leadership, the times I get called in for consulting or something, and, you know, the head of the department, their leadership style is disconnected to the team that they're supposed to be leading. And, you know, sometimes it's not their case, and sometimes they have every leadership book on the bookshelf when I walk into the office, and I say, well, what's the problem? Well, you know, and they're quoting everyone else. I try to be like, you know, and I said, did you ever try being yourself? And that, I think people respond to, if you can be authentic, and if you can, you know, let people know that they're heard and seen, leadership takes care of itself. Like I've tried every leadership style and put every quote and try to motivate and all this, but the biggest motivation is when I show up and just be myself. And they know, the person that's showing up each and every day when I go into a staff meeting, that I'm not some different character. They know when I walk in, they know what, you know, they're expecting. So I think being authentic is probably the better, you know, the best kind of leadership style.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jay. And, you know, one of the things that you talked about is what people are saying, who's this kid? He's got to go get me coffee. It's a lot of people, they may be thinking that in their own heads, and that's what the destructive thinking is. Am I worthy? Am I worth being in this room? Do I qualify? And a lot of people don't realize that they may be more qualified than the people actually sitting in the room, right? But it's not about like, hey, look at me, look how amazing I am. It's more about, let's see who's in the room and how we can work together, right? I think that's one of the things that we have to start taking the destructive thinking out of. Am I worthy of being here? Am I worthy of earning this kind of money? Am I worthy of having this type of home? Am I worthy of taking time away even from my job, right? Am I worthy of my family? So there's this whole value that we place on ourselves. And that's where the destructive thinking, I think, also comes out, because of all the negativity that's around us. And one of the things I always advise my clients is to, you know, think of putting a rubber suit on in the morning, so all this negativity just bounces off you, right? So I think it's the way we think and what we allow to enter into our heads, because besides our own heads, we're always saying things like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, or I can't lose those 10 pounds, I can't do this, instead of saying, I can't do it yet. That I love that word yet, but if I continue, and I have faith and belief in myself, I can. Right?
You know, one of the things that I actually challenge the people I work with is to remember what brought you to where you are. So going back, you know, when you first get started, now the thing is, many promotions, in fact, too many of them, to be honest with you, happen because you did a good job as a non-management person. So now you're going to be a management person. And whatever, that's not a true statement, of course, because that's a whole different skill set. But there was something about you that got you to where you are. So what was it? And whatever it was, hang on to it and build on it, because there was something there. And when I look back at, I'll just use myself as an example because it's the best one I know, I guess, is that I got my early start at UPS because I was conscientious and valued people. And I got a shot. Now, nobody at UPS taught me how to be a manager or a leader. But I always remembered as I went through the journey, because I did the corporate tour, you know, I moved 7 times and promoted along the way. And every time you get a promotion, there's a reason for it. You know, there's something about what you're doing, what you did yesterday to put you in the position that you're in for today. And I don't think you can afford to lose track of what that was, because you are constantly building on yourself. If you forget about what happens in the past, now you become almost like a fake facade, because that's not who you are. So just remember those things that have been with you on your journey. And because there are positive things there, and it has an impact on how you think of yourself. When I was, one of the things that happened to me going back to young and doing well, I was despised actually by some of the full-time supervisors that had been around for a while at UPS when I got my opportunity. And, you know, they didn't like it too much. And fortunately, the guy that I reported to, you know, recognized who I was and gave me opportunities. So those resistances happen, and you just got to keep moving, just keep going forward, because the fact is you're engaged in the challenge because you did something right leading up to that point. People don't like success. Well, they like it for themselves, but they get jealous of somebody else, right?
Yeah, you said that word. I was thinking, I'm jealous.
Just keep moving. Just keep going. I had my daughter came to me one day and she said, "You know, Dad, there's people at school that don't like me." I said, "Why is that?" She says, "Well, because I get the best grades." And so I got this great leadership opportunity, right? The fact of the matter is that it can be lonely at the top, but it's the best place to see from. So, you know, keep moving. Don't stop.
If I may add to that too, I mean, I think a lot of us get caught in the trap of comparing, because I too have been at 22 years old, promoted, you know, managing 40-some-year-olds, and no, nobody likes that. And the problem is you know, they think that they should have the position. Everybody thinks they should. But we forget that even the people at the top, even the CEOs, even the people running these companies, and they may not be qualified for their positions. They may have, you know, like Jay said, there are people that fake their way up and just know the right people or know what to say, and they mimic themselves to the top. Whereas if you're just yourself and you're where you're supposed to be, somebody thought you should be there. And you have to remember that yourself. You can't worry about this person thinks they should have my job, because guess what? You might actually be more qualified than that person in some way. So just to remember, you know, be authentic. I'm 100% with that, Jay. I think you can only be yourself. And I have always taught my son just to be prepared every single day, but be open too, because nobody knows everything. We all have room to learn, room to grow, but don't get caught by being put in that little box of this is what you're supposed to be, and you can't ever be more than that. Just bloom, blossom, be who you are, and go for it.
You know, it's very interesting that you talked about to blossom, because if you think about in order for a plant to grow, it has to be
Mhm.
put in dirt. So a lot of crap
Fertile
goes on.
soil. And
Listen,
words
not
are
only in
fertile soil.
not only in
Positive
soil,
ones.
but crap, literally,
Yeah.
in order to
Right.
be fertile, right?
Yeah.
And think about what we go through in order to rise up. Because even for Stephen at 20, you were put in a position, but it's how you handled the position, how
Yeah.
you understood that you are a people person, and people account for your growth. Because if you were in a cave by yourself, you would just be that same person. You would never have grown as an individual. You wouldn't have your vocabulary wouldn't have grown any further either. So everything that we, I think, attribute as a leader, we need to realize that we can't be a leader without followers, right? In order for us
Oh,
to
for sure.
lead anyone, we need people to follow our guide, to understand where we're going. I just heard a gentleman who lost 12 employees, and he was paying them well. And one of the reasons was he finally asked his top person who was leaving. They were the top earner. They really were the glue of the company. And what wound up happening is he said, "Do me a favor. Before you leave, tell me why you're leaving." Well, I love the company, and I love you, but there's no direction. I don't know where
Mm.
this company's going. I don't know where my future is. And guess what? I'm going to a different job already. I've already accepted. Oh, but I'll give you more money. He goes, and the person said, "It's not about the money. Actually, I'm taking a pay cut." And they're like, "What?" And that changed their whole trajectory on how they do business, because they now became more people oriented. And also, if you think about vision oriented, because there's a lot of leaders out there who have no vision as to how they want to lead. They just think we have to win, right? Can you imagine even a football coach who only worries about winning and doesn't care about his players at all? He doesn't care if they're drunk the night before, as long as they win that day. He doesn't care if they have abuse in their home, or if they're being abusive to their spouses or their children, as long as they win that game. What kind of a coach is he? What kind of a leader are they? So when we lead, we need to lead the whole person, not only that portion that we want.
And you have to lose to learn. And
Mm,
learning is where the growth occurs. I mean, I
that's it.
remember when I told my son I'm writing a book and he said, "What about?" And I'm like, I didn't want to say, "Oh, about the abuse your dad put me through for 25 years." I said, it's about dysfunctional and toxic relationships. And he looked at me like, "You're divorced. Who are you to write a book about relationships?" And I said, "Well, believe me, I learned a lot in that 25 years,
Yeah.
learned quite a bit. But
Mm,
that is where the growth wins, because if you win,
Yeah.
lucky you. But where are you going to learn? What are you going to learn from if you're always winning? Because you're going to assume you're going to keep winning. You have to
mm,
fall on your face. You have to lose out.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the important thing there is that you get up and keep moving,
Yeah,
right? It's the get up
exactly.
process. Well, Sifu, you're an athlete, so you know that the more resistance you run into, the stronger you get. And it happens in life as well. And I had a situation one time where, this is an example, I think, Jay, you mentioned this or inferred it anyway, that we have to be willing to grab every single good idea that comes across your way.
Mm,
I had a guy that I moved to one of my corporate jobs, and when you're on the journey, your reputation precedes you. So that's just the way it goes. And the one guy asked me one day, he said, if you found somebody that did something better than you, what would you do? And I said, I change immediately. This is the one time when stealing is legal. Take every best opportunity, every best idea that you can get and put it to good use, because we just become stronger people as a result of it. When you consider that people are relational, we're created by God to be relational. We're not created to be a pillar that stands there all by ourselves. So
Right.
we become stronger and more effective by recognizing the people that we bring around us. So I like Ronald Reagan had this saying. He said, surround yourself with good people and let them do their job.
Yes.
So that is a great way to go. We're actually building a team right now, a new company, and I am looking for some rock stars that can fill these roles. And I'm looking for the best. And, I don't mind telling anybody that marketing is not my strong suit. So needless to say, I need a rock star in the marketing space. So, you got to surround yourself with people that make you better, and we'll all become better as a result.
Without a doubt. One of the things that if you think about research and development, that is taking ideas from other people, right? And so it may be, you may think of it as stealing. No, it's research and development, because I'm taking it from this guy's got a good idea. This girl's got a good idea. This one's got. So maybe if you're taking their ideas, only one person, then yeah, that might be stealing. But if you're taking it from many, that's research and development, because now you're going to create your own, right? From all the different ideas. And Jay, you talked about that you walk into somebody's office and they have all these self-help books, and they're trying to spur out all the information that they learned, but they're not making it their own. It's good to, I read so many books all the time. And sometimes I'm reading 3 books right now, not at the same time, at different times in my day, right? Because in my morning, I'll read something. In the afternoon, I'll read something. Before I go to sleep, I'll read something different. So I have different ideas. But I do finish all the books, by the way. But every idea just draws me to think a little deeper, to think a little bit differently. And then I take all those ideas and I make them mine, because I journal about it. Right. So I take a journal, I write, I just chicken scratch really quick. And then I take that and I look at it and I go, I like this portion of it. And I put it in a different book. And then I go highlight those portions that I like even better. And I put it in a 4th book. So I'm constantly doing that, because that's research and development. It's getting ideas. But who did this idea come from? It really came from me. It was just knowledge that's out there. Right. All the knowledge is there. Go look. You need something, Google it, YouTube it, go to the library, get a book. People have done research. They've spent 20 years and then they wrote a book. Oh my gosh. It only costs you $20, $30. Go get that book. It's worth it. But if applied knowledge is the key, right? If you just take that, read it, and you go, yeah, I got it, but you do nothing with it, you're wasting it.
Absolutely. I like to talk about the leadership. I referred to this before, that as you go through your research and development, that's a great way to look at it. I like that. I might have to use that one. Personal research and development.
That's it.
Anyway,
Not
as we go
stealing
through life,
anymore.
and we gather different skills, we put them in our golf bag. Because I think life is very much like playing a golf hole. When you go to the first tee, second tee, whatever, you know where you're starting from and you know where you're going. But there's an infinite number of paths that you can take to get to the end result. So every time you play a golf hole, you play it differently because of the lie of the ball. We like to think we hit the fairway every time, but we know that doesn't happen. So as we go on the leadership journey, we have the same situation. You can have, in theory, the same working structure going on every single day, yet something's going to happen to make it different. And our ability to handle one of the guys I reported to one time, I got into a conversation with him. I had this fantastic solution that we needed to do for one of the UPS offices. And he asked me a question. He said, if you do that, how are you going to get the job done? And that was a really good question, because I had a solution to the moment, but I didn't have the long-term, figured out. And then he told me this, and this is the point of this illustration. He said, you're thinking black and white. You got black over here, you got white over here, you got all this gray in the middle, and that's why you have a job. And the gray is not defined. The gray changes. But the skills that we gather as we walk through our journey, we can collect those skills so that every single day we have a little bit more from yesterday that we can use to help our tomorrow be better. And I just think it's a great analogy as far as the golf course and walking life's journey. You never know what's coming around the next corner.
You never do. You never do. Jay, one of the things I know you wanted to talk about is changing your habits, right? And when we consider the habits that we start with every day, and I think, Stephen, you touched on it, when you go to sleep at night, you kind of have to decide what your next day is before your next day starts. I think that's a good habit to get into. And a lot of people don't. You know what a lot of people do before they go to sleep? They watch television. They watch something that puts thoughts and ideas into their head. If I am, that's why I like to read, because I know the kind of ideas I want to put in my head. That's why I also journal. That's why I'm thinking. I meditate. I pray. I go through my gratitudes before I go to sleep, because I'm planning my tomorrows. I don't allow someone else to plan my tomorrows. That's why I use a calendar. So talk to us a little bit about why it's important to change the habits. Here's one thing that I know about habits. If you do the same thing over and over every single day, whether you like it or not, it's a habit. So I don't always put on my left shoe first. Every day when I put on my shoe, I'm like, what did I do yesterday? What did I do earlier? Because when I come into my house, one of my habits is to take my shoes off in my entry, my foyer, before I come into my home. And I do that as a habit because I don't want to bring dirt into my house. So for me, that's a habit that I know. But then when I go put on my shoes, I go, which shoe did I put on earlier? So that I don't want to be tied. I don't want my habits to control me. I want to control my habits. I want to control my actions.
Yeah, I mean, I say it to people, like, if you want to see what kind of person anyone is, look at their habits. I mean, I think that there's habits are about, I don't necessarily, I get a lot of made fun of with staff and people that know it. Like, I don't necessarily like the word goal. I'm more of a set up your systems, and your systems include your daily thoughts and your daily habits. And if you continue doing healthy habits and healthy thought changes and so forth, the outcomes and the goals are going to take care of itself. And so, I see it all the time. I work with, athletes and executives, and, it doesn't take me long to realize what kind of the stumbling blocks. They probably don't even have to tell me, what's tripping them up. I mean, I can take a look, and most people don't like it when they're the initial consultation, but I go deep into what's your daily schedule. Would, take me from when you wake up, literally every move that you make, until you show up to work, and, everything. It's tedious. No one likes it. I don't even like it, but when I'm taking notes, but when I finally have it all done, I mean, you can sum up, whatever it is. And so when I've, in the last 2 years, just went knee deep and just dove into the art of the mind, and just how our mind work, and the habits and so forth. And there's so many great people. James Clear is someone that got me, interested in the habit situation, and just kind of learning from him and reading books and just seeing in my own life. I mean, like, what I say is, like, every habit is kind of a vote for the person you want to be. And so, like, if you look at your habits, like anything, if it's a problem, or if it's an asset, like, it's direct correlation with your habits. And so, consistency is is the main ingredient in any outcome. And if you can do consistently healthy habits and healthy, thought, changes, you're going to have positive outcomes. And so it's, and outcomes sometimes are goals. I mean, I'm also a golfer and so forth like that, Stephen. So I related to your golf hole analogy, and so sometimes, but I'm also in believe that sometimes you tee off on the second hole and you may tap in for birdie on the third green. I mean, so I don't necessarily think the holes are, I'm always looking for different ways. And so sometimes you see the flag out there, and that's, maybe where I need to be, but, depending on my shot, like I like how you say you have to play each hole. Like sometimes you may not have to go for the green on your second shot, because something may be in your way that you may have to lay up or something like that. So, I think everyone's just, when I sit down with someone, it's like, Jay, I want this, and they just throw out the goal and they want it to happen overnight, like some magician or something. And so when I say like, well, here's the thing that I work with, that you're going to get 1% each and every day, get 1% better each and every day, and you'll get those outcomes. And more people like look at me like 1%, like what if I'm like 10% better every day? And like we always try to outkick our coverage. But when we really start looking into switching of the habits, I've never seen grown men, grown women, anyone kind of struggle the most with when we're trying to change something, like you were talking about with putting your shoes on left foot. When you try to change an ingrained habit, good luck to you. Like your mind automatically goes to it. And so, any time you're changing a habit, you have to change the reward. So, a habit is going to, a bad habit, whatever it may be, a good habit, but you can't delay the prize, the reward. So more often than not, you deal with addiction or anything like that, like the immediate gratification that they get from that habit of doing overspending, doing drugs or alcohol, like sex, gambling. There's almost an immediate reward. And so that's why people sometimes like, why is he, he's got a healthy family, why is he drinking so much? And there's a lot that goes into it. But simply put, that reward is instant almost. So when you change someone's habit, you have to find a reward system, or else they're not going to find that consistent change, because that reward is always there. They've been doing something for so long and they get some kind of reward out of it. That's why they're continually doing it. So our minds, trying to get someone to change their habits, good luck to you. But welcome to my, every day. I mean, I got about 7 clients today that we're probably going to have the same conversation. So maybe they're watching this to get a heads up on it. So,
but people have to want to change. And I think that's the biggest issue, at least I work in the realm of abuse and trying to help victims get out of it and heal from it. And I always say, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. You have to be willing to make a change. And a lot of people don't want to do that, because even if they're in a bad situation, whether it be a bad job, a bad relationship, whatever it is, they're comfortable there. People are comfortable because they know what to expect, and fear holds so many people back because they don't know what's going to happen if they change that one habit, if they change that one thing they do, or if they say something different in the same situation. There's fear. And that's what holds most people back. You have to be brave enough to say, I want something different. And that goes back to the wanting. They have to want it. And you can't force somebody to want something different for themselves. They have to want it. And then they have to want to make that change to get there.
Yeah, habits are I mean, they're there to make our lives easier, right? But it's the good habits that people go like, why is it that person keeps doing that over and over again? They keep hurting themselves. They keep doing this. Their negativity. This, because you said it, Jay. There is some satisfaction. It's immediate too, right? Why does everybody stand in front of the microwave and wait for it to like hurry up? Or it's a minute, that's a long time. Or 30 seconds, that's terrible. That's why isn't it faster? So we do want that satisfaction right away. And you talked about we need to replace a habit with another habit, but then we also need to replace the reward with a little bit slightly better reward, right? Because otherwise we will not change. And for me, when I take on a client, if they tell me they want to change, and you said it, right? You want to understand what is their day like, what are they doing every day. But first, before they make any change, I go, well, you need to change in your mind. Because if you want to lose weight, you have to lose weight in your mind. You can't lose weight in your body. Mentally, you have to lose the weight first. You have to see yourself thinner or in a different shape or in a different relationship or making more money. Or people always say, I want to make more money. Well, how much do you want in your bank account? Well, I never thought of that. Well, then you don't really want to make more money because you need to think of every little aspect. Making more money doesn't mean you're going to get to keep more money, because a lot of people make a lot of money, yet they're broke. So it's the habits, and we need to understand how they function within us, and how that's why I said I don't let my habits define me. I define what I want to do. Yes, I do have a habit of showering every day, right? And I do take those cold showers. So this morning, like I said, almost 4 hours ago, I already worked out. I went out. I did things. I read. I meditated, and we started at 7:30 a.m. Those are my habits. That's what I do, and I don't even need an alarm clock. Why? Because I preset my mind to know what I'm going to do the next day. So I am excited every day that I get a chance to. First, my gratitude is, thank you, God, I'm alive, right? So I start with gratitude. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they don't like certain things because of what they have done for them or how they've situated their lives to be in front of those things that they don't like. Well, I don't like Mondays. Why not? What's wrong with Monday? You should be happy that you're on a Monday, that you're alive. Because if you died on Sunday night, you wouldn't even care. Who cares?
Right.
If Monday came, you're dead anyway. But you're alive. You should be grateful and happy for Monday. You get a chance to fix your yesterdays. So that's my 2 cents, by the way.
Amen. Amen.
You know, one of the things you're implying here is intention, as in intentional. When I work with people and they're trying to change, and again, this is in the business realm, and I focus on how to lead people instead of manage them. But to change something, it requires an intention. You know, here's the extreme of the other way is a business leader decides that they want to help educate their leadership team, because all of a sudden people start talking about empowerment. So they send their entire leadership team to a seminar on empowerment. Okay, go, come back to work, walk back into the status quo that they left, and whatever they heard in the seminar is gone, because there's no follow-up and there's no intention. You can't change anything unless you intend. If you have to move forward intentionally to change something. If something good comes out of the seminar, nothing's going to happen unless you think about actually doing something with it. Business leaders spend a lot of money without accomplishing anything because of the seminar syndrome. You know, it's not like if I send my people to something, they're going to come back inspired. Some may, probably not.
A lot of people take notes at these seminars and workshops, and then they put them away and don't look at them again until the next one, or until somebody says, hey, did you go to that seminar? What'd you think about it? Hang on, I have it in my notes.
Right. Exactly.
They take notes, but they don't implement. by the way, we're wrapping it up. So I want to thank the three of you for coming on the show. And your intentions for today are what? Just question, being that you brought it up, Stephen.
My intention for today is to continue developing the people profile, the number of people that's going to be in our new business, whether I'm going to hire them from outside. I mean, are we going to be employees or are they going to be contractors? That's my thought for the day.
Beautiful. How about you, Dana?
I just try to be the best person I can every day. Just do the next right thing and just hope I'm influencing people to live a better life.
Nice. And Jay?
Oh, it's probably the same as every day. I mean, just be, I love the word intent, but I mean, just be authentic and be the best me that I possibly can and get 1% better from what I did yesterday. So I'm going to do my best to do it, and I will.
There you go. There you go. And for me, I got to tell you, I have so many things that are going on. It's just a crazy world I live in, and I am super excited about all the things that we are doing in this world, because there's so many opportunities, but we all have to find the one that suits us the best,
Right.
and the one that helps the most. So I want to thank you guys for being here with me today. I truly, truly appreciate everyone here, and do us all a favor. And Jay said it, maybe you have to rewatch the show, because there were so many key ingredients in this show. And Jay, yeah, tell your 7 clients to watch the show and give them a heads up before they meet with you. They're like, so they'll go, okay, I get it.
It'll make my life easier. I'll absolutely do it. I'll just press play and then just walk out of the room. I like this idea.
Yeah, see that? Everybody, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. Have yourself an exceptional day. And everybody, follow, share, and like this show. And like Jay said, share it with someone. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.